Hey guys, my name is xOctoManx and today I want to continue my turn-based battle system tutorial. We are in part 19 right now, and what we are going to do is in this part we are going to make sure that we are able to win the game when all enemies are down. What we're gonna do at first is we open up the enemy state machine because we want to manipulate the Turnstate.DEAD. So make sure that you open this one. I'm gonna wait a second for this. Okay, so in Turnstate.DEAD of our where is it? Of our current state, we have Turnstate.DEAD, and inside of that, as you may remember from the hero state machine, we want to check if we are alive or not, or the enemy itself is alive or not, and we want to update its state and it's not attackable anymore, and so on and so forth. So let's get started with that. The first thing is we need a new variable for checking if the enemy is going to be alive or not. So gonna comment this out in here, say alive, and what I want to do is I want to check or create a private bool and just name this one alive. This is basically the same what we have done in the hero state machine, if you may remember, as I said. So we have a private bool alive, and we already set this one to true at the beginning, and we want to do the same for the enemy state machine too. So we set this one to true also. Don't forget to save if you have done anything, because yeah, sometimes weird stuff is happening, as you may remember. Okay, what we want to do is at first we want to check if we are alive or not. So if we are not alive anymore in the Turnstate.DEAD, then we want to make sure that we are going to return. So we just type and return. So we are not going to do anything after that part for this particular enemy or enemy state machine. Else, so if we are not if we are alive or still marked as alive, then we want to do several things. At first, we want to change the tag of the enemy as change tag of the enemy, so we know that this is not going to be an attackable enemy, basically. So what we say is this.gameObject.tag is going to be equal to dead enemy. If you have followed the series completely, we were doing this one pretty early, I believe. If you don't have created that tag, make sure that you do it at that point. So go to any game object, I don't care which one, go to tag, and then open this one up and add a new tag and call this one dead enemy. Make sure that you write it 100%, so in the script we will have no errors later on. Okay, so now we have changed this one to being a dead enemy, just not an enemy. But now we want to make sure that this this game object is not attackable by any heroes anymore. So we need to remove this one from the battle state machine out of the enemies in battle list. And that's what we do at this point. So we say, at first I comment this one out once again, not attackable by by heroes. And what we say is BSM, which stands again for battle state machine. So what we do is we say enemies in battle dot remove, and what do we want to remove is of course this game object. So it's not anymore in the battles or enemies in battles. The next thing is we want to disable the selector if it is enabled. Disable the selector. Okay, so selector.setActive is going to be false. Okay, the next thing is we want to remove all inputs by this enemy from the perform list. So no matter what. Okay, so what we do is we loop through all the perform list items by starting with an integer of called I. We start at 0 because we want to start at the 0 point of that list. Then we want to make sure that I is going to be smaller than bsm.performList.count. So we take the maximum amount inside of the list and loop through, and of course we increment I while we're doing so. And the next thing is we want to check if the BSM.perform list, so if in the perform list item I, whichever the item is, and if the attacker's game object in that particular item is going to be equal to this game object, so this enemy basically, then we want to remove it. And that's how we do it. We say BSM.perform list dot, and what we want to do is we want to remove a particular item, and the item is going to be bsm.performList square brackets I, like this. Oh, I forgot to zoom in so you see this one better. I'm sorry for this. So again, we did private bool alive true, and we created this part in here. I hope you can see this rather better right now, so make sure that you write everything down. Yeah, if you have trouble or anything else, just pause the video and yeah, type everything. Okay, so now we have removed all the hero attack inputs from the perform list, or not the it's the enemy attacks, of course. So all attacks by this particular enemy got deleted from the perform list, so it's not able to perform anything right now. Also, I want to make sure that I change the color, as we have done with the heroes too, to gray. At this point you can also again play dead animations, maybe. And what we want to do is we say this.gameObject.getComponent. What we need is we need to get the mesh render component at this point, because we just want to change the color of the mesh itself. So, and in that mesh renderer there is the material dot color, and now we can change this to a new color, so new color 32 maybe, and now we can add in anything we want. I'm gonna just take the same RGB values we just used in the for the heroes. So go over and copy them or just type them in. So it's 105, 105, 105, and for the alpha channel it's 245, and end the line. At the next point I want to set alive to be false. So alive is going to be false. And of course we want to reset some buttons. The buttons I mean are the buttons. I'm gonna give me just a second. Yeah, that's okay for now. I'm gonna save this first. And what I want to show you is which buttons we need to update or reset are the enemy buttons we get when we input. These two buttons in here needs to be updated. So when an enemy is going to die, then he will not be able to get attacked by those buttons. What we do in the enemy state machine, or no, in the battle state machine, is, let's see where it is. We create the buttons at the beginning. Gonna see, there we go. This is a function you need to look for. It's enemy buttons, or called enemy buttons, and we need to repeat that step and also clear off everything. So let's create a new list for this one. I will show you in a second or explain why. This is everything for the text of heroes, and I go over and leave a space in here and say enemy buttons. And what we want to do is we create a new private list. Whoops. Private list of type gameObject. And we call this one, I don't know, enemy btns. It's going to be equal to new list of type gameObject, of course. And end the line. Don't forget to save the battle state machine. Then scroll down back once again to your enemy input, your enemy button function. There we go. Here it is. Again, try to, or just go over and find them. What we need to do is, at first, we need to clean up that. Or clean up everything we already created. Also, we want to make sure that we add buttons to the list we just created. So after the button enemy prefab is going to be equal to enemy, we want to make sure that we add this particular button, which is called new button, to the list. I can do that at the very end, basically. It doesn't really matter, as long as it is somewhere down here. Okay, so what we do is we say enemy buttons. This is a list we just created, enemy btns.add. What do we want to add is we want to add new button at this point. Save this one. And what we do is in the cleanup phase, well, here's a create buttons. So for every enemies in our battle, we have those buttons, but before that we go over and clean this one up, because we want to call this function from the enemy state machine once the enemy dies, and we update everything, so we only need one function instead of two or any more. So for each game object called enemy btn without an s, so this is going to be a new variable basically in our enemy btns list. So in enemy btns or buttons, everything in here is going to be get destroyed. So we say destroy enemy btn. Also, after we have deleted all that game object or destroyed all the game objects, which are the buttons directly in the scene, we want to make sure that enemy btns dot clear. So we clear the list, and it's empty after this one. So we don't have any connections to that old buttons because they got deleted anyways. So when we call that function, at first there will be a cleanup, then all the buttons will be created newly, and that's it. So the first time we call this button is in the start function of the battle state machine, as you can see here. And the next time we are going to call this one is in the enemy state machine in its Turnstate.DEAD, after we set alive to be false. So what we do is we say bsm dot enemy buttons. The problem, as you can see here, is we don't have the function in here available. So we go back to the battle state machine, search the function once again, and set this function to be public, so we have access from the outside. So public void enemy buttons. Don't forget to save the battle state machine at this point once again, and now we should have we don't. Oh, it's wrong. Enemy buttons. There we go. This is our function, and we want to call this one, and do that. So how do we command this one? We say reset enemy buttons. Okay, gonna save this one. Also, we want to check at the very last if BSM or if this battle is already won or lost. This is the last point. So what we say is BSM. We say check alive at this point. So BSM dot, and what we want to do is, of course, we go to the battle states. It's going to be equal to battle state machine dot perform action dot check alive. So we check the alive, or basically go into that state at that point and perform everything inside. Check alive. Let's see where the battle states is. There we go. There's check alive. So what we check at that point, when an enemy is going to die, at first it's going to check if there are heroes left, but there won't, or there will be heroes left at this point. So what we do is we go and lose the game. Also, if that is not the case, but we have no enemies in battle anymore, then we win the game. And of course, if nothing of those two are happening, then we just clear the attack panel and so on and so forth, as we have done in the last video. You may remember this one. Don't forget to save the battle state machine, don't forget to save the enemy state machine, and now here let's go over and test out if we are able to win the battle. So I go to my heroes and reset them a bit, because the other hero was a bit too fast down. Okay, so I'm gonna play this one, and I tried to kill one of those enemies at first. So attack enemy 2, attack enemy 2. Once we are at the turn, we're gonna try to delete or kill them, and when they are down, then they should gray out and get deleted from the battle state machine. Let's see. As you can see, it got grayed out at this point. And in the battle manager, in the enemies in battle, we only have enemy 1 left. So enemy 2 got deleted from the list as we wanted. And now we can only attack enemy 1, because enemy 1 is the only one left in here. And what we also want to do is, once we are in the lose state, I hope I get a debug at this point. We can also call any other attack we want. We should be able to win the game. Okay, so let's see. At this point, we should be... Okay, we are in the wait state. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to write a small debug line in here. So for our perform action lose and win, I want to debug those states. So I say debug.log, because I want to see this in the console. You might want to do that too. At that point, when we are lose, we say you lost the game or the battle. And we want to do kind of same, of course, for the win statement. So we're gonna go over into that. Say debug.log. You win the, or you won. No, you win the battle. So let's try this once again, because I want to say how often this is going to get triggered and what's happening after this one. Because we need to take care of that too, because after we won or lost the battle, we want to have a we don't want the battle to get forward or whatever. So at that point, we also need to set all those heroes alive or enemies alive back into the state of idling or waiting or whatever. So the bars won't fill anymore and everything is done at that point. So let's try to trigger the enemy loss or the battle win at that point. And we want to get, of course, there we go. As you can see, we won the battle, and after we won the battle, we got all that you win the battle stuff. Also, but still the battle state machine changed back to the wait statement, because we didn't react it to when we have won the battle. To win the battle effectively, we need to do two things. At first, we go into the case perform action.win, where we have, or where I have the debug.log, you will win the battle. What we need to do at this point, we need to create a small for loop, and we need to loop through all the heroes left in the battle. So we say int I, or for int I, equals 0, so we again start to count at 0.0. If I is smaller than heroes in battle dot count, we want to increment I. The next thing, or in that for loop, we want to disable or basically change all hero states which are not active. So what we say is heroes in battle, square brackets I dot. And what we want to do from with that game object, which is a game object in this case, we want to get the component of the particular game object which is currently, or which of all those, or yeah, any game object in that list. What we want to do is we want to get the component of hero state machine, of course, and in there, oops, wrong brackets. In there we want to change the current state to the hero state machine turn state waiting. So all heroes which haven't performed or currently are not in the enumerator, which are or which is only one at the time because it's a turn-based battle system. So only one hero is left in that in that enumerator. And what we want to do at this point is we save, of course. Then we go to the hero state machine, and in the enumerator time for action, we have the battle state machine perform action wait. We want to clamp this one into a small if statement, and it's the same for the current cooldown and the turn state processing. And then we want to create an else statement where we say else go to turnstate.waiting, because we cannot access the guy in or the hero which is currently in the enumerator if it is in the enumerator. So I hope that makes sense. So because if he's going through the enumerator, we should stop it, but it will stop anywhere on the playfield. That's not what I want. I want the hero to go to the end of the enumerator, set the enumerator to be false, and of course I want to change the state to whatever I want it to be. And if I do that from the state machine, it will automatically go through to the perform state.wait in the battle state machine, and it wouldn't make sense for this particular hero. All others would be affected, but not the one which is currently in the enumerator. So what we do is we say if BSM, so battle state machine dot battle states is not equal to BSM dot perform list, no, perform action. Wait a second. It's not equal to battle state machine perform action. I'm sorry for this confusion. Perform action dot win. If it's not winning and it's not losing, so BSM dot battle states is not equal to battle states state machine perform action dot lose, only then go to and change the battle state machine to the wait statement. The same happens for the current cooldown. Only then reset the cooldown, and only then set the current state to the turn state processing. Otherwise, so else, whoops, if those two are not true, or one of those is not true, or basically is true, no, it's not true, then we want to say the current state of our hero, which is currently in that enumerator, we want to change the turn state to waiting instead of processing. So the bar will stop, so the process bar will stop at whatever point it is, or just don't even start or restart. So let's test this one out. Again, I reduced the HP for the enemies. So now those bars, of course, are running. Then he's going to be in the, as you can see now, this bar has stopped. This guy, the hero 1, which have been full already, is not able to do any move because it's gone to the waiting state instead of going through all the processing stuff. Because yeah, that's what we want. We want to end the battle at that point. We don't want the user to do any inputs at that point. I try to manipulate this. Well, I can't at this point. Maybe I'm fast enough if I do all the inputs one after another to try out if there are any errors. Well, no, that's fine. So basically this guy would have been able to do input, but he can't. So yeah, that's it, what I wanted to do in this tutorial. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you learned something, of course, and if you liked that video, don't forget to sum this one up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos in the future. And yeah, of course, if you have any questions about that or anything else, write in the comments below. Okay, that's it for that tutorial. Bye bye.